According to Albert Einstein, education is not the learning of facts, but the training of mind to think, and always considered as a person's weapon and foundation to success. Hi, good day everyone. My name is Lizelle Arwaring of BEd 4B, one of the representative of my group to discuss to you our research proposal entitled Teaching Strategies Utilized by the Language Teacher in Teaching Reading Comprehension Among Pupils in Cagdongon Elementary School. This video presentation will highlight the following. First is the title of the action research, next is the content and rationale, the action research question, the intervention, innovation, and strategies, the sources of data, the data gathering method, the data analysis, the work plan and timeline, the cost estimate, and the last is the plan for dissemination and advocacy. Before we proceed, I would like to introduce my co-researchers who are responsible of this study. Here are Ms. Araya JB of BEd 4A, Ms. Jasujian Aika of BEd 4A, Ms. Luzano Catherine of BEd 4B, Ms. Luvindino Marijoy of BEd 4B, Mr. Magalona Jerwin of BEd 4A, Mr. Malihana Bernardino of BEd 4B, Ms. Manalo Charivel of BEd 4A, Mr. Maranya Jan James of BEd 4A, Mr. Marhalina Fernan of BEd 4B, Mr. Machas Marchan of BEd 4A, Ms. Gonzalez Aileen of BEd 4A, Ms. Ravina Nika of BEd 4A, and yours truly of BEd 4B. To discuss the context and rationale of this research study, here are Ms. Ravina Nika, Ms. Mary Joy Lovindino, and Ms. Luzano Catherine.
Readers can encounter multifarious roadblocks in the path of comprehension. Teaching strategies is one of the most important ingredients of helping students to overcome those struggles and bring them for a highly effective learning environment. Utilizing different teaching strategies in teaching reading is very significant not only to attain comprehension but also to solve reading problems such as lack of comprehension. In the study of Lucas, year 1990, with Renard and Chloe, year 1987, their studies indicated that there are several styles that the teachers could do to encourage students to become self-motivated and independent learners. Reading comprehension has been a major issue for more than 20 years. Researchers have found that teaching reading strategies is important to develop and increase student comprehension. At the same time, they have found that there are many teachers who lack a solid foundation for teaching reading comprehension. It is the survey conducted by National Reading Panel in year 2005. Furthermore, according to the Department of Education or DepEd, there are almost 71% of learners who were reading below. Additionally, the National Assessment of Educational Progress conducted a survey in year 1997, and their studies reported that there are 40% of 4th graders, 30% of 8th graders, and 25% of 12th graders were reading below grade level. The percentage are even higher and the gaps even wider between grade levels and schools predominantly made up of free or reduced class-eligible student population. A popular notion in the area of literate instruction is a stepping stone in the walk of knowledge. Reading is an activity which involves comprehensions and interpretations of ideas symbolized by written or printed text. It is clear, without this ability, readers will find themselves confronted with strange and weird symbols which would make no sense for them. Very low-level ability of reading allows a teacher to differentiate the letters of a particular language from non-linguistic marks. So, there are two types of students with reading problems that school psychologists and educators are likely to encounter. First, these are the students with IQ reading achievement discrepancies and students with a combination of low ability and low reading achievement. So, Students who have IQ reading achievement discrepancies tend to have average to high average IQ and listening comprehension scores. It is indicated in the study of Aaron and Josie in year 1992. Furthermore, children with developmental dyslexia are included in this group of poor readers. So what is dyslexia? Dyslexia is often associated with some neurological impairment that results in poor word recognition skills, including phonological processing. A slow rate of reading, erratic oral reading, misuse of function words and suffixes, and reading comprehension difficulties on timed reading tests are among the symptoms commonly associated with dyslexia. On the other hand, the low ability readers make up the largest number of poor readers. They tend to have lower average IQ and have below grade level listening comprehension, word recognition, and reading comprehension performance. Although we tend to classify children with severe reading problems as low ability readers or IQ achievement discrepant readers, current research indicates that there are no significant differences between these two groups of readers on how they develop reading precursors skills. It is indicated in the study of Resource, Francis, Foreman, Fletcher, and Swank in year 2000. So, there is an earlier research conducted by Stanovic and Segal in year 1994 that indicates or suggests that IQ did not predict reading difficulties among the low ability or garden variety readers and IQ discrepant readers. Instead, they found that phonological core variables were better predictors of reading skills. Therefore, differential diagnosis based on IQ scores do not yield different growth patterns in reading development. For this reason, the remainder of this section will describe poor readers according to specific cognitive processes and behaviors they exhibit rather than according to diagnostic categories. So, what is poor readers? Poor readers with word recognition difficulties generally over-rely on textual cues such as pictures and other words to identify words in a passage that are unknown to them. Overusing textual cues to identify unknown words reduces the likelihood of transforming unknown words into sight words. It is according to the study of Presley 1998. So there were many errors are made when children are or use semantic contextual approaches rather than sounding out words. So, children need opportunities to sound out words even if this means they have to struggle. So, this may be easier said than done as many children do not know how to begin to sound out of the words. Some poor readers have limited literal level knowledge or an understanding of the alphabetic principle. Typically, these types of readers are limited to being able to sound out only the beginning letter of the word. So, the inability to sound out words can be attributed to phonological processing difficulties. Weak phonological processing accounts for the largest populations of students classified as having dyslexia or individuals with severe word recognition difficulties. So, what is phonological awareness? Phonological awareness is a crucial component to becoming literate. This has been verified through studies that examine long-term effects of phonological awareness training in preschool and kindergarten on subsequent reading achievement performance of first, second, and third graders. So, phonemic awareness is knowing that a spoken language is made up of discrete, operable sounds. Rhyme production, sound blending, sound deletion, sound substitution, and sound segmenting are among the ways that individuals can operate on spoken words. Developmentally, children who begin with rhyme activities and then progress to cementing sounds in words. Among phonemic awareness exercises, phonemic segmentation is the best predictor of word identification for primary grade children. It is supported by the study of Nation and Holm in year 1997. In their studies, they indicate that one of The example of phonemic segmentation is to pronounce the word cat and ask a child to say each sound as three separate sounds in the word, such as C, K, A, and T, T. So some children develop phonemic awareness through literacy experiences at home before entering school, while others have limited exposure to print and role models who engage in reading and writing. Some children, regardless of their environmental conditions, struggle with grasping phonemic awareness. Thus, children who lack phonological skills and have a limited vocabulary will have difficulty phonologically recoding letters back into their constituent sounds when they encounter print. Additionally, when most children initially encounter a printed word, they go through a process of sequentially decoding the word by attempting to make letter sound conversions. Phonological recoding occurs as children check to see if the word they made matches a word that has been stored in their memories. It was according to the study of Bayman in year 1991. At advanced stages of this process, children learn to decode words hierarchically. So, hierarchical decoding involves using letters in words to cue the sounds of other letters. For example, using the A at the end of the word came to say the A as long vowel sound. Phonological recoding is orthographic processing. Orthographic processing refers to recognizing and remembering letters, which includes noting sequences of letters and words and being able to distinguish among spelling patterns of words. Although smaller in population compared to those with phonological deficits, some children with reading and spelling problems have difficulty processing words orthographically. It was indicated in the study of Stanopik and West in year 1980. So, the children need to become automatic at recognizing words to free up their cognitive energies to gain meaning from text. Poor readers not only struggle with recognizing words in text but also have difficulty suppressing irrelevant information in text, which places limitations on the use of their short-term capacity for comprehending printed material. These students have difficulty grasping and understanding text that contains words with multiple meanings. Beyond the word reading level, poor readers have difficulty making inference about the concept presented in the text. Poor readers do not connect ideas well and may not grasp the conceptual nature of the material. So problems with making inferences and partly due to poor readers' lack of prior knowledge about the content. On the other hand, good readers read more and gain more knowledge each time they read the materials. Moreover, good readers also have a repertoire of comprehension strategies to help them construct meaning from text, while poor readers know very few, if any, strategies that aid in the construction of meaning from text and strategies for monitoring and understanding of the text. Therefore, this research study is imperative to help the language teachers by providing them the multi-purpose teaching strategies and teaching reading comprehension that they can use to teach their students not only to solve the learners' reading problems but also to enable their learners to become a better, efficient, and effective readers. So for further discussion of context and rationality, it will be continued by one of the presenters, Ms. Maryjoy L. Vendino.
According to Smith, reading is a multifaceted process that develops only with practice. It starts with teaching and listening comprehension. Reading skills are necessary for a person to be able to learn from text and are essential for lifelong learning. In the study of McNamara of 2009, an effective way to understand text thoroughly is to use reading strategies. Therefore, they must be taught directly. In the last 2 decades, research of fostering reading comprehension has yielded several effective reading strategies programs. Currently, however, scientific-based reading instruction are still not implemented every pen in the classroom by teachers. According to Grave of 1991, which were cited in Aloysian of 2005, reading as an interactive process between readers and text that results in reading fluency. This means that readers interact with text as they try to extract meaning. In reading, understanding of you a reading is indeed significant. Reading comprehension is a skill that is crucial in the education success of all students. Reading comprehension's proficiency. Moreover, according to Best, Rowe, Ozura, and McNahara of 2005, reading is an important skill necessary for all areas of schools, subjects other than reading or literatures, where comprehension skills are significantly important include science to generate inferences that aid in the understanding of science. As in reading, we are not just reading, but reading comprehension and understanding is always a part of it. Reading comprehension is considered as the real core of the reading process, and a big process around which all other processes are centered. Comprehension is the peak of the reading skills and the basis for all reading process. Learners who are taught and trained on developing mental models in mind are found and demonstrate much better understanding and comprehension. The outcome of reading comprehension is the mental representation of text meaning that is combined with the reader's previous knowledge. So this is called the mental model, according to Johnson Willard of 1983 and Situation Model of Kent 1998. These models define what has been learned or a visual representation consisting of both structure and process that helps students comprehend content knowledge. Learners who are taught and trained on developing mental models in mind are found and demonstrate much better understanding and comprehension. Furthermore, according to Al-Khatib of 2010, comprehension is viewed by some researchers as the ultimate objectives of the reading process, since he who does not comprehend what he read is considered as if he has not read. Therefore, without proper comprehension in reading is will result to an ineffective learning from these readers. Further discussion of context and rationality, here's Ms. Catherine L. Lozano.
The research study will be conducted at Cagdongan Elementary School, one of the competitive schools here in Pilar, Sorsogon, headed by Mr. Rayan L. Marfil, a respected teacher in charge one of the said school. According to Nanda, the teacher paramount important in the present and future of students. It means that the teacher saves in the society by instructing and guiding countless students through the different stage of their growth. Short essay on teacher, a friend, a philosopher, and a guide. So the teacher should be confident and has willingness to teach students to enhance reading comprehension. In addition, according to the study of Peel's Treaty of 1994, students who understand the lesson tend to be more engaged and show different characteristics such as they are attracted to do work, persist in the work despite of challenges, and obstacles and takes visible delight in accomplishing their work. So it simply means that effective strategies can motivate students to catch their interest. So moreover, according to Erickson 1978, active learning in the classroom depends on the teacher's activity to maintain the interest that brought students to the course in the first place. So it means teacher must be sufficient, knowledgeable, and competent in teaching in order to impart reliable information they could give to their students. Research focuses on terms of variables or concepts to be defined, clarified, or discussed to all the readers. Number 1, teaching strategies. Number 2, reading. Number 3, comprehension. Number 4, importance of teaching strategies. And number 5 is the importance of reading comprehension. The purpose of this study is to determine the different teaching strategies that are being utilized by the language teachers in teaching reading comprehension in Cagdongan Elementary School, because the researchers believe that without a solid foundation of good teaching reading comprehension, the researcher of this study feel that children will struggle throughout their schooling and adult because of lack in reading comprehension. Furthermore, the researcher of this current study believed that by utilizing the best comprehension strategies and how to teach best these various strategies, pupils will learn well, effectively, and can efficiently comprehend the context of the written text.
The researchers of this study is sought to determine the multifarious teaching strategies utilized by the language teachers in teaching reading comprehension among the pupils in Cagdongon Elementary School from primary to intermediate grade. In order to meet the purpose and objective of this action research study, the researchers provide and formulate three questions. Specifically, this study sought to answer the following questions. First is, what are the different teaching strategies utilized by the language teachers in teaching reading comprehension among the pupils in Cagdongon Elementary School from primary to intermediate grade? Second, which of these teaching strategies are considered as good, better, and best by the language teachers in Cagdongon Elementary School in teaching reading comprehension? Third, what interventions and activities would recommend to the language teachers in Cagdongon Elementary School to further enhance and cultivate their utilization in teaching reading strategies to improve the reading comprehension of the learners?
The researchers of this action research study proposed various strategies and interventions that might be useful for the teachers in Cagdongon Elementary School to enhance more their teaching, reading comprehension, and their learners. Firstly, the researchers of this study promotes the use of story map for teachers. Story maps are visual representation for the elements of that make a narrative. The purpose for the story map is to help the learners of Cagdongon Elementary School to focus on the important elements of narrative theme, characters, setting, problems, plot event, and resolution on the relationship among those elements.
Is the Transaction Strategy Instructions, or TSI, is a method of teaching students to generate meaning as they read by replicating the use of comprehension methods by good readers. In these studies, authors believe that TSI will help students to first, set reading goals and plans. Second, use background knowledge and text cues to construct meaning during reading. Third, monitor comprehension. Fourth, solve problems encountered during reading. And lastly, evaluate progress. To accomplish these goals, students will be taught to use a set of reading strategies, predicting based on prior knowledge activation, creating and asking questions, visualizing, linking background knowledge to text content, and summarize our Another strategy proposed by the researchers of this study is the scaffolding. Several instructional approaches toward identification and reading comprehension employ scaffolding. Scaffolding, a term coined by Wood, Bronner, and Ross, 1976, means that necessary support needs to be given to a child and gradually faded once the child approximates independent functioning while completing tasks. The concept of scaffolding is rooted in Vygotsky 1978 notions about how the mind develops through interaction between teachers and students, and how children may be able to achieve more anyone thinking about implementing any of this than what was initially expected given the proper cultural tools. Example of scaffoldings include teacher facilitation and feedback, as well as appropriate instructional materials that serve as supportive structures to make tasks solvable.
Furthermore, the researcher also proposed the use of story frame, similar to story maps. Story frames are visual representation that focus student attention on the structure of a story and how the content of the story fits its structure. The teacher should try to let their learners use the story frame as a way to activate their background knowledge of the elements of story structure and those to organize and learn new information from a story. The researchers of this study believe that simple story frames required student to provide basic information about the sequence of event in a story. The example is shown below. Additionally, more complex frame may involve having students supply more detailed information by summarizing sequence of action or event or providing factual information. To explain, provide um, problem or motivation. The procedure encourage students to interact with each other, asking questions, seeking clarification, and sharing evaluation against us with story maps. The procedure can be simplified for use with younger students and has been used successfully with grade 1 student or made more sophisticated for use with older students. And again, as with the other procedure that have been described, the procedure is introduced through explicit structure with the teacher. First, explaining why to strong, and again, as with the other procedure that have been described. The procedure is introduced through explicit instruction with the teacher first explaining why story frames are useful, the modeling when and where to use them, guiding students through practice opportunities, and providing corrective feedback along the way. Next, another process strategy is the directed reading and thinking activity (DRTA). This procedure focuses on reading as a thinking process. Its intent is to teach children to make prediction through reading. Before reading, the teacher asks students to form a purpose for reading and to make prediction about the content of story to be read. During reading, the teacher stops student at strategies point in the story to ask student to make additional prediction and verified reject or modify their purpose and prediction. After reading, the teacher asks student to find and read aloud any part of the text that support their prediction.
The data gathering methods, the researchers of the study will be employ a qualitative research design which will be associated with the naturalistic, including and deals with the issue of human complexity by exploring it directly. Qualitative research aims in-depth understanding of an issue, including an explore of the reason and context for participants' belief in action. So was obtained this design to be a providing in the nature. Richard and Schwartz 2001. The finding from depth qualitative research and typically grounded in the real life experience of the people with first-hand knowledge of a phenomenon. Physically, to the selected target, respondents of the Korean action researchers study who were the language teacher in the Kagdungon Elementary School. This study will primarily design to determine the different teaching strategies that are being utilized by the language teacher is Kagdungon Elementary School to improve the comprehension skills of their learners.
Arrive at an accurate, precise, and realistic data. Researcher of this action research study will use both of primary and secondary sources of data, or source of data. The researcher will use self-made survey, questionnaire checklists that will be answered by the target respondents. Thus, the source of data will be repossessed of the language teacher is Kagdungon Elementary School. On the other hand, internet websites, existing lists, and dissertation articles, journals, and PDFs relevant to the current study will be used and shall be considered as the secondary sources of data.
The research of this study will use a questionnaire checklist. The checklist is composed of 310 teaching, reading, comprehension, which are commonly used by the language teachers, and teaching reading comprehension to the pupils. Then, there are three choices that should be checked by them, which were aligned with the teaching strategies. These are the goods, better the best, rather more at the end of the checklist. The research create another space wherein the language teacher can freely put a suggested or use teaching reading strategies that were not mentioned in the given checklist. Additionally, there are two follow-up questionnaires that are relevant to the current study to be answered by the language teachers and the set of school.
Work plan and timeline is pivotal to a research project because it identifies and helps define your focus, methods, and goals, while also outline the research project from the start to finish. A work plan is a schedule chart or graph that summarizes the different components of a research project and how they will be implemented in the coherent way within the specific time. This is the work plan and timeline of our action research study. The submission of our research proposal will be on third week of December. The development phase will be on third week of October to first week of December. Validation phase will be on second week to the fourth week of December. Implementation will be on second week to the fourth week of December, and the completion of action research study will be on first week and until third week of January.
Plan for dissemination and advocacy. The researchers of this study aim to disseminate the problem completed action research from discussing its results with the head teachers, together with the language teachers in Kagdungan elementary schools who were teaching reading comprehension to the pupils in the said schools. This will be done in a systematic way. First, the researchers will submit the research copy of the action research to the head teachers of schools. Then, the researchers will show the outcome in the proposed innovation strategy and intervention to the language teachers. Over teaching reading comprehension, next step, the researchers will discuss the findings to the language teachers together with the head teachers of the schools that might be useful in addressing the problems in reading comprehension of the learners.